an alumnus. This year's speaker was nominated by our faculty from the degree completion program. And let me introduce him to you. Ryan Schlunz is a 2013 graduate of George Fox Adult Degree Program. And effective in January, he's going to serve as the Chief Information Officer and Partner at Profit Recovery Partners. He has more than 25 years of executive leadership and management experience and has a reputation for building high-performance teams that deliver solutions to solve complex business challenges. In his prior roles at several prestigious national law firms, including Stoll Reeves, Schlunz led change in how firms operate internally and in how they deliver value to their clients. He has provided oversight and management of teams dedicated to technology and information management, cybersecurity, practice and administrative support, e-discovery, legal project management, pricing, process improvement, and knowledge management. Schlunz also stays actively involved with organizations that support his personal philosophy of serving others. He helps others with strategic planning, leadership, teamwork, technology, fundraising, and general awareness of important community issues. He has coached dozens of youth sports teams, come to the aid of sports boosters in both his local community and nationally. He serves on many advisory boards. He lends his experience and knowledge to benefit both not-for-profit and for-profit organizations alike. He is a husband and father to 5 children who, along with their own personal pursuits, share in his love of God, of family, of baseball, of travel, and lots of outdoor recreation. Would you welcome Ryan Schlunz?
Thank you, President Baker. Hello and welcome, everyone, and congratulations to the class of 2019. Well done. It is a tremendous honor to be with you here today to celebrate the occasion of your graduation, and I genuinely appreciate you having me here. Thank you as well to President Baker and all of the faculty and staff here at George Fox University. From the time in which I first started my education here 8 years ago, up until just a few moments ago when I needed to know which door to walk through, you have all made my life much, much easier. Thank you. I've had a lot of time to think about this moment right now and this speech and what I would say, and I thought about how to make it useful and relevant to each of you. Perhaps most importantly, I thought about how to make sure I said it quickly. You see, 6 years ago, I sat in those chairs right there with you, being a graduate as well from the adult degree program here at George Fox University, and my class, my cohort, took our seats. I remember as the commencement speaker came up, that he promised to be brief. And I remember thinking to myself, this is going to be great, and if for some reason I'm ever gifted the responsibility of doing the same thing, that I would commit to the same goal. So, I certainly hope to earn the privilege today of your time by delivering a few inspiring words and maybe sharing a few experiences of my own that resonate with you. But I do promise to be brief. If you were to browse the website of George Fox University today, you'd find their stated vision on the website. It reads this: to be the Christian university of choice, known for empowering students to achieve exceptional life outcomes. There's a lot wrapped up in that statement, but perhaps nothing more powerful, at least to me, than the stated outcome, which is to achieve an exceptional life. So I've done a lot of thinking about that statement, and whether or not, or even if, my own experiences while attending school here empowered me towards that same outcome. As I contemplated this idea of what an exceptional life even is, usually during one of my unexceptional drives to or from work, I started making a list of things that do or might make my life exceptional. For me, these things include my relationship with God, my family and friends, having challenging things to work on in life, and possessing talent and resources that I can use to help others. So as I worked through that list, I then started making a list of things that I've come to understand were critical in my pursuit of living that exceptional life. It's this list that I thought I would share with you today, just a few things, in hopes that it reminds you, or perhaps empowers you, to further on your pursuit of exceptional life outcomes. The first thing on this list is the belief that God has a plan for me. I may not always see it, I may not always understand it, I may even try to plan my own way sometimes. My own plans haven't always gone as I expect them to or planned them to, and yet things continue to seem to be working out for me. God seems to find me and guide my steps in the right direction, right when I need Him the most. As a very relevant example to this, I started my college degree pursuit 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. My plan was to have a lot of fun, graduate in 4 or 5 years, and try and take the least number of classes, at least difficult classes, in order to graduate. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do beyond that. I wasn't even certain why I was pursuing a college education, but it was something I was doing, and it was my plan. About 3 years into my first college experience, I had the fun part figured out pretty well. I wasn't much closer to graduating than when I first started. This may resonate with some of you sitting here today as well. In the spring of my spring term of 1994, I had to step away from my plan to get married and start raising a family. My own plan wasn't going to work as well as it should have, and God knew that. And so he stepped in and established new steps for me on a new path, and one that started by putting my amazing wife, Nikki, on that same path with me. 25 years and 5 children and what feels like a lifetime of love and adventure later, it was clearly a much, much better plan than the one I had intended for myself. And thanks to God and thanks to Nikki too. Well, this didn't end my desire to earn a college degree or my pursuit of it. It took me a bit longer and a few more failed attempts, but in 2011, I moved to the Portland area and committed myself to completing my degree before I turned the age of 40 and before our oldest son graduated high school. That was my motivation. I had already had a successful career established in a field that I loved, so I knew exactly what I wanted to study. My kids were a bit older and more well established in their routines, and it was finally the right time. This was the better plan. I just didn't know at the time where I could go that could offer me the sort of educational experience I was looking for and the ability to obtain it while still working and raising a young family. I was new to the Portland area, didn't yet have a big network of people to lean on for advice, and so I called and tried to talk with several universities in the area, and each time I was greeted with the same disappointment. It just didn't quite fit. I mentioned my struggles one time to our realtor who was helping us to find a new home, and she mentioned a friend or relative of hers that attended and finished their degree at George Fox's University. Well, the very next day I started seeing their billboards everywhere with these catchy and pithy sayings on them. They spoke to me. They spoke to exactly my needs and my situation. They really did. So I called an enrollment advisor the next day, and within 24 hours I had a 2-page document with an exact plan for how I would finally achieve my goal. It gave me the classes I would take, it told me when I would take them, and how much it would all cost. So once again, God found me and helped to establish my steps when I needed him to. Attending George Fox University and the adult degree program specifically reminded me that God has a plan for me, and one that will lead me to achieve exceptional life outcomes. The next thing on my list is to have someone in your life who supports you while also pushing you to do better. For most of us, it is a parent who first serves in this role, and that is certainly true for me as well. I can't begin to repay the debt that I owe my parents for their constant love, support, and sometimes forceful guidance in life, even today. Thank you, Mom and Dad. It was when God put Nikki and our children in my path as a young father that I was really challenged. I was really perplexed on how I was going to do this and had to work really hard to achieve goals that I never imagined I'd have in front of me. For a while, many of these goals were financial and career related. These led me to achieve some of the highest levels in position and influence possible in the organizations that employed me. Later, these goals became focused on being a better husband, a better father, a better friend in person. But I've also had the benefit of many professional mentors too. And they've done the same for me. From Mike, my first executive director at a law firm in Washington, D.C., who pushed me to take chances that could end in failure, but then allowing me to fail without any more consequence than the valuable lessons learned from it. To my friend and colleague, Daryl, who recruited me to come and work for him here in Portland and encouraged me to finish my degree, only to then push me to use that education to help further benefit the organization that we work for. And then the cohort program itself here at George Fox University. Having a group of people to depend on you and support you and push you to finish your degree and help them succeed while also helping you achieve your own success. All of these people in my life helping to push and encourage me, perhaps unknowingly to them, also push and encourage me towards living an exceptional life. The third thing on my list is the power of reflection, and not the kind that you see in the mirror when you get up in the morning every day, but the kind that requires you to look inward and to your past experiences for what you already know, or maybe you didn't realize that you knew, or perhaps you just didn't realize where the learning came from. Reflection is truly powerful stuff, perhaps the most important thing on my list, as reflection has the very real power to change who you are as a person, particularly when that reflection is shared with other people through storytelling. You See, I watched a TED Talk last year by a guy named Donald Davis. Mr. Davis has spent his career promoting the cultural importance of storytelling, and in his TED Talk, he shares his story about an injury that his father, Joe, sustained as a child that left him crippled. Growing up crippled in the early 1900s in a rural farm community in North Carolina left Joe unable to pursue work that was common to man at the time. So he relentlessly pursued an education in business skills instead, which led him to many great rewards later in life. Well, Joe's mother made him reflect on his injury and retell the story over and over again, each time giving Joe a different agenda by which to tell it from, but always from the perspective of what was learned from the experience and what he could do today as a result of going through that experience. See, she knew that reflection could not only could not change what happened to him in the past, but by reflecting on it, he could gain and learn from the experience how it benefited him and transform his life. And for Donald's father, it certainly did. Search the internet sometime for Crippled Joe TED Talk and listen to the entire story. It's a powerful and moving example of how much reflection can transform a life. Well, George Fox offers this amazing course in the degree completion program that allows you to write a reflection paper to earn college credit. I thought it sounded easy enough. All my work experience, I would surely be able to maximize the number of credits I could earn and take fewer classes. So I signed up. Well, those of you who have been in those classes realize that these papers are anything but easy to write. They are grueling. Hours spent sitting on a couch on the weekend missing Little League games and soccer games that you could get through these papers. And to my surprise, it was my reflection of the less obvious lessons that I learned, not the tangible technical skills that I thought would earn me the most credit, but the less obvious life lessons that I learned and reflected on that earned me the most credit. But more importantly, these reflections transformed me. It was through reflections on lessons that I learned from former bosses on critical topics like leadership, humility, and resilience that I was able to grow my skill in each of these areas and become a better and more effective leader at work. Recalling the stories from my past helped me to lock in learning and remind me of what living through those experiences taught me, rather than just remembering what they felt like. We also had to read these papers out loud to our classmates. Now, the purpose of reading them aloud, they said, is to improve the quality of the paper, and it did. However, retelling these stories aloud to my colleagues in class had the additional and wonderful side effect of making that learning that much more permanent and that much more transformative, as did the discussions that we had that followed. These papers have now become stories that I still tell today and share with others to help them learn and grow while they continue to serve my own growth needs and remind me of what an exceptional life I'm living. The last thing on my list is relationships. They matter. They just do. All of them. Even the bad ones. Maybe even especially the bad ones. See, good relationships certainly make life more enjoyable, and they help us to achieve things more easily. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of relationships like the one with my wife, my parents, my mentors, my colleagues, classmates. They've led me to job promotions, job offers. They've led me to hire better employees, develop new skills, graduate from college, and have meaningful relationships. However, the bad relationships have taught me just as much. They taught me how perhaps to be a better boss, how not to behave or not to treat people. They've taught me how to be a better teammate or leader and how to even establish my own boundaries. More importantly, they've taught me how to be patient with people while I learn who they are through the stories that have shaped their lives. This often leads to additional learning for myself and sometimes even another good relationship. Several years ago, on my way into work, I heard someone speaking on the radio about relationships. He was specifically talking about people that he didn't like. He said that he used to think to himself, I really don't like this person. I don't think I ever want to be around them again. And then one day someone presented him with this idea that maybe you just don't understand this person and that maybe you would benefit by taking some time to listen to their stories, get to know them a little bit better. He decided to give it a try, and after a couple of successful interactions with people he didn't like, he changed his thinking to, I really don't like this person. I must not understand them yet. I should get to know them and ask them about their stories. This idea changed my own approach to relationship building with people too. And the cohort program at George Fox University is yet another example and lesson in the value of relationships. You get to spend 18 months with half a dozen or a dozen or more people who you don't get to pick, but who you depend on for your learning and some portion of your letter grade. This humbles you pretty quickly, and it also teaches you. Some days you pull more than your own weight. On other days, someone is there to help shoulder yours. And sometimes you just have someone there to help you mediate a conflict. But in all instances, there's much to gain from these relationships, and my life is forever more exceptional because of them. Thank you to Dr. Greg Allen and the entire P167 cohort, class of 2013. So now, as each of you move beyond the wonderful occasion of today and the celebrations that will follow, the graduating class of 2019, I pray the following is true for each of you. I pray that you have a belief in something bigger than you that is in control of your steps and is guiding your path. I pray that you have people in your life who believe in you and who challenge you in ways that help you achieve things that you never knew were possible. I pray that you take the time to reflect on what you've learned here, as well as in your life, and that you share those stories with others. I pray that you foster as many relationships as possible and have a rich network of people that can help you, that you can help, and who are all rooting for your success. And most of all, I pray that all of these things lead you to an exceptional life. Thank you again for the privilege of your time today. Congratulations, and God bless.